Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the absolute blockbuster, barn burner-esque fight. An absolute banger, an Alex Pereira versus Jiří Procházka going down this Saturday at UFC 295. Originally, it's going to be headlined by Jon Jones and old grandpa Stipe Miocic, who impersonated a lawn chair in his last fight. Got folded like a lawn chair, brutally knocked out by Francis Ngannou. Jon Jones tears his pectoral muscles, shooting a takedown. There was a video that released. Now, I have my questions on whether that video is real or not, but I have no doubt Jon Jones is actually injured. The fight's not going through. They needed to find a quick replacement, so, they booked Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall for the interim heavyweight title, and then they promoted Jiří Procházka versus Alex Pereira to the main event for the vacant light heavyweight title. Technically, it's not really vacant yet. Jamal Hill is still the champion, but the moment that Alex Pereira and Jiří Procházka step into the octagon, it will become the vacant title, and it will be decided, unless the fight goes to a draw. A new champion will be crowned Saturday night at UFC 295, and I believe Madison Square Garden. I'm not exactly sure where the fight's happening, but I'm going to give my full prediction in this video. I'm going to give my full breakdown of both fighters, how I see them winning, how I can see them losing, and ultimately I'm going to give my official prediction at the end of this video, and let's get right into it. The first fighter I'm going to be breaking down in today's video is Jiří Procházka, the fighter I'm a little bit less familiar with. I believe most MMA fans at this point are a little bit less familiar with Jiří Procházka because he only has so many limited fights in the UFC. He only has, I believe this is like his fourth or fifth UFC fight. He's only had a couple of fights, you know what I mean? He's we look at him as like this guy who's established in MMA, but he only has like 4 or 5 fights in the UFC ever. And Alex Pereira is the same way. I mean, this is probably the first title fight of this magnitude between two guys with such little, MMA experience, such little. I mean, Jiří Procházka has a lot of, pro MMA experience, before his, UFC career started. But as far as UFC, experience, this is probably the lowest UFC experience title fight of this magnitude. Of course, there's other ones of, less magnitude, but of this level of magnitude, there's probably no other fight for a title with two guys with this little UFC experience. It's incredible. But the first fighter is Jiří Procházka. Not very familiar with him. I've done my research on him. I know about him. You know what I mean? He's a switch stance fighter. He's got a little bit of a reach advantage on Alex Pereira, to my knowledge. He's a pretty tall guy, and he's got an incredible chin. I believe that's going to be the main thing going into this fight. So, I think Jiří Procházka is going to have the chin advantage in this fight. And one thing we kind of have to look at is the way Jiří Procházka fights. He very much is a switch stance fighter. He constantly does that kind of power-up thing that, Israel Adesanya talked about this. When Joe Rogan was waffling, Joe Rogan constantly talking about, oh, this fighter's injured, speculating injuries mid-fight, literally calling John Anik, texting him mid-fight saying, I think Israel Adesanya's hand's broken. And then meanwhile, after the fight, John Anik or whoever was interviewing him, DC, I forget what happened at UFC 276 when he fought Jared Cannonier. They asked Izzy, is your hand hurting because you were holding it like this the entire fight? Izzy was just going, oh, it's something that gives me strength. Same thing with Jiří Procházka. I personally don't understand it, but some fighters have that thing where they'll grab their hand like this, kind of down by their waist, and they'll kind of squeeze their hand, and they say it gives them like a boost or something. I don't know. Some people have that little thing they'll do. Dustin Poirier pushes his hair and pulls up his shorts. Different fighters have their little ticks or things that they do, and I guess that's a thing that Jiří Procházka does, but that's very detrimental. Unlike Dustin Poirier going like this really quickly, unlike other fighters having a little thing they'll do, maybe, tapping their head with their gloves, him actually putting his hands down all the way by his waist, leaning so far forwards and putting all his weight on that lead leg, it exposes him to jabs, exposes him to hooks, it exposes him as far as his hip movement, and it exposes him to the legs badly. And, a guy like Alex Pereira, who's going to be, slamming leg kicks the entire fight, there's very quick leg kicks that even Jan Blachowicz couldn't even check. Jan Blachowicz is known for having the best leg kick defense in the game. Jan Blachowicz had utterly no hope of stopping Alex Pereira's leg kicks at UFC 291 in Salt Lake City. Of course, we got to talk about the elevation. The elevation was a factor, but at the end of the day, even in the first round, he showed his leg kicks are extremely effective. He showed that his leg kicks cannot even be stopped by guys who have good leg kick defense, like, Israel Adesanya, like a guy in Jan Blachowicz. These guys have excellent leg kick defense, and Alex Pereira has never faced a guy that can nullify his leg kicks. So maybe you can catch him on the feet before they really take too much effect, but you're not going to stop them. Maybe you can stop him, but you're not stopping his leg kicks is essentially what I'm trying to say. And for a guy that's so heavy on that lead leg, that's never even been known for checking leg kicks or being good at it to begin with. I mean, I truly believe, Jiří Procházka, he's going to be eating nasty leg kicks the entire night. He's going to get that front leg absolutely railed this entire night. You look at Jan Blachowicz, he had that welt the size of a baseball on the side of his calf. I believe it's going to be way worse. I truly believe Alex Pereira, unless he gets chinned early, is going to be tearing that lead leg up. And there's some things I got to talk about. So, as far as the pros, for Jiří Procházka, I believe he has the chin advantage in this fight. I believe he has a speed advantage in this fight. He moves awkwardly. He moves very unconventionally. He has phenomenal pressure. It's very awkward. It's unorthodox. He's throwing up a kick. He's throwing a right hand out. Then he's grabbing his hand, throwing a flying knee into a spinning elbow, into a double leg takedown, into a freaking 360 reverse triangle. That's Jiří Procházka in a nutshell. He submits Glover Teixeira in the 5th round. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? He's a ridiculous fighter. But he has underrated skill. People look at him as this kind of wild man. The term everyone, Jiří Procházka, the wild man. He's wild, but there's a method to the madness. Now, that doesn't mean he can't be exposed, but there is a method to the madness in Jiří Procházka. You look at him, escaping full mount from a guy like, Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira, known for having the best top pressure in light heavyweight history. Known for being a guy where no one could escape his mount in his prime. He started, raining down beautiful ground and pound, brutalizing his opponents, cutting them open, just absolutely, dismantling people when he got to mount. And you look at, Jamal Hill, of course, got out of his mount as well. Jamal Hill is underrated as well. But, you look at a guy in Jiří Procházka who's able to consistently escape the grappling of Glover Teixeira. Other times he'll easily get taken down, and then sometimes he'll have great defense. And it truly looks like whenever he's focused, whenever he tries to stay technical, he's a very good fighter. But then he gets reckless. He turns into the wild man, and all of his skill decreases. You know what I mean? He starts grabbing his hand. He gets rocked on the chin, things like that. And I truly believe he's very exposed. But other strengths he has phenomenal knockout power. In fact, gun to my head, I think that Jiří Procházka hits harder than Alex Pereira. I think he hits harder than Alex Pereira. I think he's way tougher than Alex Pereira. I think he has better cardio than Alex Pereira. I think he's more durable. And, I think he's a way better grappler. I think he's a significantly better grappler everywhere the fight goes. You look at a guy, Alex Pereira getting easily controlled by Jan Blachowicz. I don't believe Jan Blachowicz could go out there and do that to Jiří Procházka. I think he would have a lot of trouble trying to grapple him. And even if he got him to the ground, I don't believe he'd take his back in 5 seconds and then 10-8 him for the rest of the round. I don't believe he'd be on his back cranking on his neck the entire round. Alex Pereira looked like a fish out of water both times that he got taken down in that fight. Of course, he showed some, takedown defense, but, so a lot of those takedowns were essentially Jan Blachowicz bending over at the waist, kind of, heavyweight style, heavyweight style of takedown, bending over at the waist, just putting your hips back and reaching your arms out. And, Alex Pereira just kind of backs up and puts his hand out and posts on it. People are talking about, amazing takedown defense from Alex Pereira. No, Jan Blachowicz is just terrible at wrestling. It's that simple. I don't believe he could do that to a guy like Jiří Procházka. You know what I mean? I don't believe he could dominate him on the ground like he did Alex Pereira. Jiří Procházka is a great grappler, and I think he can implement this in this fight. And if I'm Jiří Procházka's coach, I'm telling him at least once a round, shoot a takedown. You know what I mean? Get him worried about the takedown. Get him worried about, throwing up high kicks and throwing up big left hooks. Get him worried about that. Get him thinking that if I throw out something big, I have to be worried about that because, if I do that, he could easily shoot under and get a takedown, It doesn't even matter if you get the takedown or not. It's just about getting to him. Maybe driving him up against the fence, landing a couple knees in the clinch, whatever. He has great clinch striking. You know what I mean? Getting him up against the fence, driving into him, maybe landing a couple shots. If you do get him down, he's going to be a significantly better grappler. So it's only going to be a best case scenario if he does get him down. There's not really a chance. There's no chance Alex Pereira wins this fight on the ground. It's not like, if he gets him down, there's still the chance Alex submits him on the way down. It's not going to happen. Alex Pereira has no grappling whatsoever. He literally has no grappling in his arsenal whatsoever against a guy like Jiří Procházka, who actually has very solid grappling. And I can see Jiří Procházka exploiting that. The problems with Jiří Procházka is he has no defense. Jiří Procházka has utterly no defense whatsoever. And, I can see a situation where they get into an exchange maybe at range and Jiří Procházka gets clipped. He has a great chin, but at the end of the day, he has no defense. You see him literally sticking his chin out on a silver platter, way worse than a guy like Paddy Pimblett, way worse than a guy like, Tom Aspinall. He literally has a chin on a silver platter. I could easily see him getting clipped with that hook. And you notice something that he does He'll always kind of drop his backhand, he'll drop his right hand, and he'll prod with his lead hand. He'll kind of prod with that. And I believe Alex Pereira, there's a tool that Alex Pereira has added to his game recently. What he'll do is he'll slip to the inside of a jab and throw up a left hook. You saw this in the the Jan Blachowicz fight. He slipped and he missed his left hook, but it was very close. And that's something that I believe Alex Pereira is going to have a lot of success with, slipping to the inside and then throwing that. You have to watch out, though. You never know if a flying knee is coming, if a 360, 720 spinning flying heel kick is coming. That's the issue when fighting, Jiří Procházka. But we've seen other fighters deal with it, and Alex Pereira may be a guy that can deal with it. Now, on to Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira, as far as strengths, Alex Pereira is a phenomenal striker from range. At range, and even on the back foot, he knocked out Sean Strickland on the back foot. You can try to discredit that win in whatever way you want. It was still a phenomenal win. I made an entire video talking about how I believe Alex Pereira is overrated. People, see him stuff a takedown that's terrible, and they're like, oh my gosh, Alex Pereira has improved the grappling. He literally got dominated in the first round by a gassed, old, 40-year-old Jan Blachowicz. And it's not like you picked Alex Pereira. Also, I picked Jan Blachowicz to win. I was not confident in Alex Pereira, and I was right. I believe Jan Blachowicz was going to be able to... Actually, no, I picked Alex Pereira. So it's not like, I'm being biased against him. Alex Pereira is one of my favorite fighters. I was 100% confident that Jan Blachowicz was going to be able to implement the grappling in this fight. But I did believe he was an older man. I did believe he was going to be able to crumble to some of those shots. And Alex Pereira simply did not show up and do that. You know what I mean? He still got dominated in the first round. And I believe Jiří Procházka, maybe he's not as clean of a grappler as Jan Blachowicz, but he's certainly a better wrestler offensively and defensively. Maybe the submission threat and all those different, his deep half guard and those different type of moves that he has, all his different arsenal isn't as good, but his, at least his wrestling, and that's what you really need. You don't need to worry about the jiu-jitsu of Alex Pereira. If you get him down, the fight is at least a round. If you get Alex Pereira down, you've banked a round. The round is over. If you get Alex Pereira down, the round is over unless you let him up. Yeah, Alex Pereira has no grappling whatsoever. And once again, he is literally one of my favorite fighters. I have no reason to try to trash him and all this stuff. I love watching him fight. He's one of my favorite fighters. I love watching him strike at range. It's beautiful. But at the end of the day, he has no striking whatsoever. No grappling whatsoever. I apologize. He literally has no grappling. And if Jiří Procházka gets him down, the fight's over. But as far as strength, he's a phenomenal striker from range. You saw how he knocked out Sean Strickland, who's one of the most defensively sound strikers in the game. He had an excellent game plan. What he did, a lot of people won't notice this. A lot of people won't really look into this like the way I look into this, like the way my coach look into this. What Alex Pereira did, his game plan, was instead of punching to the face, he punched to the body. And it wasn't even down to the waist, like, he landed some body shots. He's not punching to the body, he's punching to the chest. He's punching right here. What he was doing, you'll notice, Ciryl Gane, when he was, Francis Ngannou's coach, it's Eric Nixick. He was talking to Francis Ngannou mid-round. I can't believe I remember this. He was talking to Francis Ngannou mid-round when he was fighting Ciryl Gane. He was telling him, Ciryl Gane keeps moving his head around and stuff and dipping his head down. Don't punch Ciryl at his face. He's going to try to move out of the way. Punch Ciryl at that tattoo in his chest. And that's what Francis Ngannou started doing. Started punching him down towards the chest. And that's a tactic. Not a lot of people pay attention to details. I pay attention to details. That's a detail that not a lot of people even know about. Most MMA fans couldn't even tell you the significance of punching someone to the chest. Punching someone to the chest backs them up. It creates distance. It's not going to do damage to someone, but it draws them out. What did it do? He is probably one of the only people in recent times to draw Sean Strickland out of his comfort zone and break down the unbreakable defense of Sean Strickland. The way he did it, he punched the body and he got Sean Strickland to reach for it. Because it's not doing any damage, but it's essentially like a teep. What you're doing is kind of putting range. And eventually Sean Strickland started to get frustrated because he was out of range. He couldn't get to him. Every time he tried to get to him, Alex Pereira would kind of put his shoulder down and go right to the chest with that punch. And he started drawing out those lead hands. Sean Strickland looked like he was looking to find the light switch in a room that was pitch black. He looked like he was going like this, like he was a zombie, trying to prod towards Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira punched again, and then he kind of fakes and comes up with a left hook. And, Sean Strickland reaches his hands out, expecting a jab to the body, and then, boom, gets caught with the left hook right on the jaw. Fight's over. You know what I mean? And he showed excellent accuracy. He literally clipped Sean Strickland with a right hand twice on the way to the ground. That's incredible accuracy. You know what I mean? He's an incredibly accurate striker. Of course, he does get wild sometimes. That's what I'm worried about. Alex Pereira got very wild in the Israel Adesanya fight. The second fight, he got very wild, in the first round. And, MMA Joey had probably the greatest MMA fight prediction I've ever seen. He predicted Israel Adesanya via second round KO. And what he was talking about in his prediction, I highly advise every single one of you to go watch that. Search up MMA Joey, Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira 2 prediction. Phenomenal video. He literally looked like he had a crystal ball. And no glaze though. No glaze, boys. And essentially, what he was talking about is how he believed Alex Pereira was going to be over-aggressive. He believed Alex Pereira was going to go out there going with this mindset of, I already knocked this guy out twice. I've already beat him 3 times. I already knocked him out twice. I can knock this guy out with one punch. And he goes out there, and exactly how he predicted, Alex Pereira is in the first round swinging massive hooks like this every chance he gets close to Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya draws him in, puts the guard up, waits for the second left hook, comes over the top of that 1-2, sleeps Alex Pereira out cold, one of the craziest knockouts of the year. And that's something that worries me. If Alex Pereira gets reckless, if he gets into a wild exchange with Jiří Procházka, he is going to go out cold. And that's something as far as the defensive, as far as the holes in his game, Alex Pereira does lack a little bit in those areas. Alex Pereira has terrible striking defense. Now, Jiří Procházka has no striking defense either. Jiří Procházka's striking defense is essentially his chin. The only difference is his chin is better than Alex Pereira's. You know what I mean? Jiří Procházka doesn't have a phenomenal chin himself. Jiří Procházka 100% could get knocked out in this fight. He got rocked badly by Glover Teixeira at multiple moments in the fight. There was one moment, I believe it was in the 4th or 5th round. I think it was actually the 5th round. Jiří Procházka is basically backing up, doing the thing with his hand again, all the way down by his waist. It looks like he's at the urinal peeing, trying to look around, make sure no other guys are looking at him. He's backing up against the fence, and Glover Teixeira backs him up with a double jab and then throws an overhand and rocks him badly. And then, he shoots in on the takedown, and that's when Glover jumped guillotine and ended up losing the fight. That was the 5th round. And, dude, he doesn't have a great chin. I can 100% see a situation where Jiří Procházka, has his hands down and Alex Pereira catches him something. The problem is Alex Pereira doesn't go to straight shots all the time. I believe if he wants to be Jiří Procházka, he should be pumping out the jab, staying very tight, not extending with the left hook, big overhand, big high kick. No, just throw that leg kick, pump out the jab. Constantly move around, back Jiří Procházka up. The biggest thing is if, Alex Pereira can back Jiří Procházka up, it's going to take away from the power. It's going to make it harder for Jiří to initiate grappling when you're on the back foot. It's going to make it a lot harder. So I'm interested to see who takes the center of the octagon. Who is going to be pressuring who? You know what I mean? These are interesting questions, and I'm interested to see the answers to these questions. These are a lot of unknowns, and this fight is very hard to predict. And like I said, both guys have bad defense. If I had to say who had a better chin, gun to my head, I'm going to say Jiří Procházka has a better chin than Alex Pereira. Better defense, I'm going to go Alex Pereira. But it's not good. I mean, Alex Pereira has great leg kick defense, good body kick defense, good head kick defense. But for punches, I don't know he has no boxing defense whatsoever. He just literally eats jabs. If you were to pump out a jab against Alex Pereira, he's either going to try to check hook you or he's just going to eat it. It's like he doesn't even move. He doesn't even react to it. It's kind of like Charles Oliveira, pre-eye surgery. He just kind of eats it. You throw the 1-2, he just kind of eats it. It's weird. He doesn't like put up a guard. He doesn't try to parry. He doesn't try to slip. And there's that. I did talk about. He has added the slipping, but when he does that, he drops his hands all the way down to his waist. He slips and then he throws it. You know what I mean? If he tries to do that, maybe Jiří Procházka feints a jab, throws a hook. He slips and gets caught with that hook. The fight's over. You know what I mean? He's easily going to go to sleep like that. And I see a lot of different possibilities in this fight. This is a fight that I'm very, very back and forth on. And honestly, I think that if Alex Pereira stays technically sound on the feet, he's going to get out grappled. But when he eventually gets up back to his feet, as long as he doesn't get finished on the ground, I think he can actually have his way with Jiří Procházka on the feet. I'm not worried about the one-shot power of Alex Pereira in this fight. I'm interested to see how Alex Pereira technically has a masterclass over a guy like Jiří Procházka, because I don't see him sleeping Jiří with one shot. I think he's going to beat Jiří up if he does end up. If I had a crystal ball and I knew it was Alex Pereira via finish, I would say Alex Pereira TKO'd him. I would say Alex Pereira overwhelmed him with shots after hurting him multiple times in the fight and then finally finished him and swarmed him at the end. You know what I mean? That's how I say it would go. Jiří Procházka has more avenues to victory. He has more tools in his toolbox. And, it's a very difficult fight to predict. I can see Alex Pereira getting caught with one shot, just a blitzing weird jab and getting rocked badly. Jiří Procházka swarms him and sleeps him. He's coming up in weight class to 205. We didn't really get to see his chin tested in the Jan Blachowicz fight. We didn't see him get rocked. We didn't see him eat a ton of big shots, but we did see him get clipped a couple times. His chin looked okay, but he was still getting clipped with big shots. And against a guy like Jiří Procházka, you cannot afford to get clipped like that. So this is such a difficult fight to predict. There's excellent arguments to say which guy will win. This guy will win, this guy will win. There's excellent arguments for both sides. You can easily argue both sides. And I'm so split on this, guys. I'm so split on who I should predict in this fight. Of course, there's nothing on the line. I'm not losing any money. I'm not going to lose any subs for predicting this wrong. Hopefully, there aren't any of those annoying MMA fans that come in your comments and try to say, haha, told you so, after you get a prediction wrong, as if they haven't got any predictions wrong themselves. I hate to see stuff like that. But, guys, as for an official prediction, this is so difficult. Because if it gets into an exchange, I see Alex Pereira getting slept out cold, and he's susceptible to get into exchanges. Even at range, he has terrible boxing defense. But at range, he's going to have such an advantage on the feet. He's going to have such an advantage, man. He's going to be technically so much more sound. He's going to be chewing up that lead leg. And if I'm Jiří Procházka, I would want to draw this fight into a war. I would want to make this as much of a war as possible. And I'm so split on it. But I just don't like the way Jiří Procházka defends shots. And I believe if Glover Teixeira is rocking you badly on the feet, even with the threat of the takedown, man, I think Jiří Procházka... As for an official prediction, I am going to go Alex Pereira via third-round TKO. I think Alex Pereira is going to swarm him after hurting him multiple times. There's going to be a lot of big moments. If Alex Pereira gets rocked at any moment in this fight, the fight's essentially over. If he goes to his back, he's done. If he falls over, it's over. If he gets rocked on the feet, he's going to get swarmed. It's over. Whereas I can see scenarios where Jiří Procházka can at least buy himself some time by kind of falling to his back or doing things. Jiří Procházka, honestly, he could go with a Charles Oliveira route. Every time he gets knocked down, he just falls to his back and buys himself as much time as possible. There was literally no chance Alex Pereira is going to do any type of damage via ground and pound. You know what I mean? So honestly, if he falls to his back, he can pull Charles Oliveira. Is he going to do that? Because he's so much like a Chad Warrior, whatever. I don't think so, but... I am going to go Alex Pereira. I think he's going to get out-grappled in this fight. I think he's going to eat a lot of damage in this fight. But I think the chin's going to hold up just long enough to clip Jiří Procházka enough times to overwhelm him and shut that chin down. But I am not confident in him at all. I believe Jiří Procházka could easily win this fight. I talked about in my last video, breaking down Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall, how I'm 51% sure that Tom Aspinall is going to win. I'm 49% sure that Sergey Pavlovich is going to win. Honestly, I'm switching my pick. I'm 60% sure Sergey's going to win at this point, but I'm the same way with this fight. I'm so 50-50. I'm not saying this guy is going to win. I'm saying if you had to put a gun to my head, fate of the universe on the line, Martian's got the death beam, I'm going to slightly lean to Alex Pereira. I very well may change my pick, before Saturday. I'm not going to make a video if I do. I'm going to be, I'm going to be on a college visit. In a different state, so I'm going to be out of state on a college visit. I'm going to be very busy. Not going to be making too many videos over the next couple of days, but I am so excited to watch these fights. I hope you guys have an excellent weekend. Hope you guys have a lot of fun watching them, just as much fun as I do, and thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and don't forget to turn notifications so I do not miss you in another upload. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.